Alright guys, what is up? We're here in a game between Tiny Dragon and BlazBlue. BlazBlue is here on the right hand side and he is playing KF, and on the left hand side we have Tiny Dragon and he is playing Cyclops. Now, for this game, I'm going to be talking not as much about the game. This is more just going to be in the background so you guys have something to look at. But what I'm going to be talking about is a little bit of theory crafting on what I think makes a good player, and how you can get better yourself. So first off, I think a really big part of the game. Now it's not. There are people that All right. So what I was gonna say, a big part of the game is your battle group, right? As we see with other streamers and make people that make videos. Is first the thing they do is they go through the video, or they go through the battle group they're playing, because that's very important to know if you're going to do well. If your battle group, for example, has only physical damage type, then a big part of your games you're just going to lose right away, because you don't have the diversity of damage types to deal with things like immunity or resistance or void shield, that kind of stuff. So the first thing is your battle group, and it's probably like already 50% of the battle is right there. You need to make sure that it doesn't have to be meta worthy, in that it needs like legendary champions, and as we see with Tiny Dragon, right? He's playing Cyclops, which isn't really meta by itself usually. But you need the diversity in your battle group, and you need tools to be able to deal with things. Let me go. I have a little list here. So for example, you need healing. Here, wait, actually. Here you're gonna need maybe around 3 different attack types. So if you have here, we have Sonic, Magical from the Magic Bomb. We have Physical. Usually you want, I would say ideally you'd have 3 attack types, and then Physical, Magical as well. Oh, nice attack. So you would have Physical attack type, Magical, and then you'd have maybe at least 1 champion in your battle with, let's say, Sonic, Fire, and let's say Poison or something. It doesn't really matter, but you get the idea. The reason for this is if there's a champion who has a resistance to something, you can deal with that. And secondly, or if they have a vulnerability, then you can maybe take advantage of that. If they're vulnerable, you can do 25% extra damage because you have a fire attack and they're vulnerable to fire, for example, right? Secondly, if they have void shield, you want as many attacks as possible so that you can play around that, because void shield, what it does is, which is pretty common as an ability, void shield causes that champion to gain a rank of resistance to whatever they were just damaged with. Yeah. And there are many other abilities that you kind of want to play around. So that's why you want about 3 different attack types. Now, another thing I think every battle group should have is Shatter. That's either on a champion or in a spell form. That is because if there's an equipment that you really can't deal with, then you need Shatter. For example, let's say your champion is Slaver's Whipped, or they have a there's the SL equip that makes the champion immune or impervious, and they have multi-attack, and they gain short-lived if they don't kill a champion, or they die if they don't kill a champion within 3 turns. Now, that's something really hard to deal with, especially on really super champs, because they often can get kills really quickly. And for example, here's a Slaver's Whip being used, so they can often, be killed really quickly. The super champs can kill really quickly, and if you don't have Shatter for the whatever the dagger is called, I don't remember, you're kind of wrecked. You're kind of screwed. That's why I think Shatter is something that every battle group should have. Also, like against Withering Fern, on one of your champions, you can ruin that. Anyway, next is Detection against stealth champions. Everybody needs that. Every battle group that should kind of really play well at the top level should have these things, right? Efficient way to deal with summons. Usually that's either Swarm or the Ritualist, or like rituals in general, where you can deal with swarms. Or for example, in KF they have Naturalize, that makes 15 damage to all swarms. Oh, nice! Just throw them in the lava. So that's an ability that, or a spell that is really strong there. Or whatever, you get what I mean. Next is Hard Tramp Removal or Dispel. So if you're playing against a super champ, for example, I was playing versus Tiny Dragon last game, and he had one of these Cyclops Chieftain who was given, Inspire 3 times. So he had a Cyclops Chieftain at around, I think it was like 25 damage. And he was at 60 HP, and I was like, well, I can't really deal with this. So you know what I did? I used Vertical Push, and then I dealt with it later. So hard champ removal or Dispel, definitely needed in every, good battle group. Next is alternate damage types. So not only, attacking, but like, for example, bombs and, let's see, here, for example, we have the Annihilate. So abilities and spells that deal damage that aren't attacks. Because there are champions that can also play around. Like, for example, No Kondo on the, No Kondo in a lot of champions. But in general, that's, something where having to only attack those champions would really wreck you. So if you have any type of attack that can play around that, you're doing better. So, again, alternate damage types. Aura as well, if you can grant Aura. Next is healing. I think every good battle group needs, like, healing just so that you can heal your champs up in the mid to late game. If you kill something but you have to retreat, you can heal yourself up. It really just gives you that oomph to like fight through a battle, just to keep going on, right? So you're gonna want that healing. Or you can also just have loads of anti-healing, right? That kind of works too. Just so okay, there we just saw the Horn of Cthulhu gonna charge now, I'm guessing. Anyway, yeah, anti-healing is also kind of good, just to stop their healing if you don't have any of your own. Nice damage. Now, this is a really big one. AP gain, AP generation, or initiation. Basically, every single battle group needs this. AP gain or initiation. You cannot win, consistently if you don't have that. Unless you have, a very different battle group that is not really meta, but has like a whole different win condition, such as like Slags. They don't need AP gain as much just because they can just sit there, right? Or for example, any other battle group that can really just sit there and they're winning it already, then maybe they don't need the AP gain. But usually, basically every battle group needs AP generation or initiation. So initiation is, for example, Vicious Harpoon, Swap, Gale Force, anything that moves the enemy toward you, which they couldn't see coming, right? You need something that's sudden, that they can't see coming, to start a fight, and then hopefully get a kill, and then they can't retaliate, okay? And then also, for example, Alacrity is a good spell where you can get kills with because you gain 4 AP, so you have 4 more movement to go somewhere and kill something. There you go. AoE, you definitely want at least one AoE, basically, in every battle group. To deal with, if a champion's just ran away and you're like, wow, I want to kill them, but now they're going to start healing up because they have heals in the background or they have regeneration, then you're going to need one AoE at the very least so you can deal damage from far away if you don't have like a ranged champ in the way to kill that champion, do that last damage to kill something. Next is not needed, but Seism is really good if you're playing against a battle group that has something that you can't deal with that is a relic. Like an Unholy Tomb or a, I don't know. It's just Unholy Tomb is a really big one. Tomb of Hate. War Banner is always nice to destroy because they, lose that value. So in general, also what Seism does is where they think they might be contesting a font, you can uncontest it by using a Seism. So Seism is good. And then lastly, what I have is Cleanse as a big thing. A lot of battle groups need Cleanse in case they debuff you. Because they say they initiate and then they debuff you. And you're like, well, shit, now I can't retaliate because, they engage, they got a kill, and they debuff me. Well, if you have Cleanse, then you might be able to get a kill back and then deploy or something, and then you might be doing fine. Okay. All right. So now what this means is you're going to need, so to have all those things, you're going to want them in different types. In, tanks, you need tanks. You need utility champions with, a lot of support, things like this. There's a utility champion, a support, sort of say, with heal mass, battle. So this is, look, AP gain and healing. So 2 of the things are already crossed out. And then we have, so yeah, tank, utility, DPS, so damage per second. Scout, which is like just good, for me it just means good to get a font, and they're cheap. That's like a Cyclopean fire case. They're good scouts because they can kind of, or font runners, because they can run quickly into the font, get a kill, or not get a kill, but run into the font and just be pesky. So that's really good usually. And then of course you need ranged champions and you need DPS champions. Of course, if you play a battle group that can play well around only having ranged or only having melee, then you can do okay without that either. But usually it's good to have a battle group with at least both of those, either range or melee, that kind of thing. All right, so those are all my kind of ideas for a battle group, what you need in a battle group if you want to play really well. Of course, if you have less of one thing, for example, if you don't have any cleanse, then you can play around that, for example, in Shattered Peaks by not cleansing, but just deploying more. Or if you don't have any detection, then you can play around not having detection by, playing champions with AoEs themselves, or something else, or playing a lot of AoEs, or playing champions that can detect in other ways, not only the ability detection. So, well, I didn't know he just got the kill bot. I didn't see how he did that. It's really good. Yeah, so something like that where you can get the kill, or what was I saying? Yeah, you can play around your weakness of your battle group by playing something else better. So instead of you dealing with their stealth champion, they have to deal with your extremely high defense super champ, right? So you kind of just make them have to play around you instead of you having to play around them. So there's that. All right, so now we're gonna go on for what I think you need to know to become good at this game. Is you need to know your battle group. You'll hear this very often from players that want to give advice. They'll be, so what's the first thing I should know when I want to get good? And they'll be like, well, play a lot. That's really the biggest thing, is just play a lot. Play a lot of games so that one, you know your battle group. This game is probably over soon. I mean, look at this. It's 2 fonts versus 1. But it's 4 champions up here versus, like, the ratio is worse right here, Anyway, so you need to know your battle group. You need to know all the synergies. Huh. That's funny. All right, well, I'll get the kill. You need to know the synergies of your battle group, as well as you need to know, how to play around things that you might have weak. Like, you might have 1 form of detection, but that's not always enough. Maybe you need 2 forms, but you only want to play 1 form because you want something else better. So if you play enough, you'll find out ways to play around your weaknesses, as well as you can learn what everybody else has. This kind of segues into what I'm going to say next. Is to get good at this game is know your enemy's battle group. You should know what they're playing to a certain extent. For example, this is Shattered Peaks. First of all, that's the first thing you know. What battle or what faction? So Shattered Peaks. First of all, Tiny's playing Shattered Peaks. Okay, good. Now, what theme, right? So he's playing Cyclops. What can we expect from Cyclops? Well, we can expect Cyclops Eye Belt. We can expect, well, not anymore, but used to be like Mammoth Club, right? Are there any spells for Cyclops? No, not really. But we have the Cast Alacrity. We have, a big thing. This is a really large thing that you need to look at when you're playing versus Shattered Peaks, is the Flavor's Whip. So if you know an enemy is coming, you're about to contest, let's say on a map where there's loads of, dead zone. For example, if you're going to play against Forsaken Waste on the IS map, it's a good idea not to engage their top font with a non-flying champion. If you just think you can teleport over there and you're good, well, usually no, that's not the case, because they're just going to play a domination, throw you off the cliff, and then boom, you're already like 40 Nora behind, and the positioning you had. Now, if you're a flying champion, maybe you can engage top, but not, you know what I'm saying. So you have to know your enemy's battle group, what they have. There's usually not too many things. You'll be surprised. There's maybe 1,000, spells and equips and stuff for every single faction, which is a lot. Maybe like 500. 500 equips, spells, and relics per faction or something. I don't even know. But there's not that many played. Not as many played as there are. If you look at what most people play, there's maybe in all 30 things you have to play around per faction, or that every faction plays. But in the top meta, there's like, I don't know, 10. Everybody plays the exact same 10 to 15 spells, equips, relics, right? For example, War Banner. If it's full faction, they're definitely playing War Banner. Now, this is pretty off. You don't see this very often. So this is like a tech card that you can put in that the enemy might not be able to deal with because you basically never see this thing, right? Softened, all right. Can you kill? No. Anyway, so that's a big thing, right? Being able to know what the enemy has. So again, if you're playing against aquatics, usually Froilgar Swamp does not play anything that really is good at initiation except for like Horn of Order. But in aquatics, they often play Undertow. So that's 4 space of movement into the water. So you can play around that. Or Drown, obviously. There are a lot of spells you can't play around. Like Drown is kind of hard to play around because they can sometimes put water under you right away and then boom, just drown you. But so there's a lot of things you want to be able to play around, and that's with know your enemy's battle group. And with that, what I also mean is not only what they have in it, but the strengths and weaknesses of the battle group. For example, let's say you're some kind of late IS battle group like Leos, right? You're playing Leos and you're good in like mid-late game, and you're playing against EUD. Then it's completely fine to give up the mid font just so that they can't kill your first champion and then kind of make a grinder type thing where every single turn they're killing something. And you're like trying to keep the font, but they just keep killing whatever's in the font. And you're like, well, fuck, and now I'm wrecked. Okay. So he should have done that first, right? Oh, whatever. So, yeah, so that's a big thing. Just know your strengths in your battle. Is it better for you to retreat? Is it better for you to not retreat? That kind of thing. All that stuff. Anyway. What's next? Next thing to be good at this game, and a really big thing. These kind of two things kind of go in common, but the next thing is click the fuck out of everything. That's what I wanted to say is click the living fuck out of everything, because you don't know exactly what upgrade they have. For example, here is Battle Leader, right? So sometimes they play with Battle Master instead. And you want to be able to know, okay, they have that. For example, what I see from like newer players is they'll attack a champion who has Fire Eater with Fire Attack because they don't know that that champion has Fire Eater, and then they're like, oh, I just wasted, I don't know, 3 to 8 AP to heal him essentially, and then you've lost the game. You're really not coming back from that usually. So yeah, know your battle group, know your enemy's battle group. What was I saying? Yeah, click that heck out of everything. So you can play around it. That's a really big thing. And what that goes with, and what to me, why I am not as good, is because I'm lazy when I play this game. And that's a really big thing. I think this is the biggest thing to me in this game, is think before you play. Don't willy-nilly click, be like, hey, boom, this should get a kill. Click, click. You have to make everything. The ordering is correct. All right, gets a kill. Now, is he going to go in on the Headringer's Totem, or is he going to move forwards? Does he get shrunken? I wonder. Will this Seflin get shrunken here? That'd be so funny. Move in. I really want to see if Seflin gets shrunken. Anyway, so you need to click a lot, and you need to think everything through. So if you're like, okay, I want to kill this thing. Okay, boom. So your first idea is what do you want to kill this turn? Then you need to know what you need to make sure that the ordering is correct. So always first buff your champions or debuff theirs, like by their defense, before you attack, right? So if you think you want to get a kill and you're like, well, I should have about enough damage. Well, first play your War Banner. Then everything has +1 damage, right? First play your War Banner. Or first use Soften on their champions before you attack. These are kind of the more... Hey, he's tiny! Oh my god, he's small. That's adorable. Look, the avatar is tiny. That's so cute. Oh my god, that's so adorable. Alright, sorry. So yeah, you have to think everything through. Be like, hey, these are the things he has. And if I want to kill this, these are the things I need to do first. He could use a Zealotry and then get to his bottom font with the Cyclops Chieftain. So for example, Zealotry, something you'd have to maybe play around. If you know he can gain spot 3 AP, then you might want to have, played right here, played your Colossus Boa right here so that he has to go this way to, get around it. Anyway, yeah, so click everything and think everything through. I think everything through is really my biggest tip to players who are good in that they know everything. They know all the certain battle, or not battle groups, but all the certain equipment and relics and stuff, but they're not good enough to, go that extra mile. And that's really click everything, think everything through. Like, okay, so he's like, I want to kill this Colossal Boa. Well, first reduce his defense by using Magical Bomb. But before I use Magic Bomb, I have to check if this champion has Magic Eater. No, he doesn't. Okay, so I can use Magic Bomb now, and then boom, boom, boom. And so that's why you have to click him. Does he have anything that, I want to play around? Well, he's resilient, so dots won't do anything, so playing a dot on him won't matter. Well, I want to first use a Magic Bomb, then attack him, and then, or no, first buff my champions, then the Magic Bomb, and then attack him, right? So get in range of Encouraged, because that does, actually it doesn't do any extra damage, but if this gave extra damage, first get in range of Encourage, then deal the extra damage, or reduce their defense, and then deal the damage, right? So think everything through. Don't just be like, okay, let me just attack with everything. Oh, wait, he still has 2 HP left because I didn't play the War Banner first, right? Okay, where are we next? Yeah, when you're playing the game, focus on bigger threats first is also something big I can say. Focus on the damage dealers or the champions that have a lot of late game scaling, because usually they're weaker in the beginning. For example, Chekhov Chieftain with the battle leader is often a good thing to focus on. Now, a lot of things you can do in game when you're playing to play better is how much Nora does my opponent have next turn? Now, this is coming from a forum post I made a while ago, but how much Nora does my enemy have next turn, right? So if they're going to have, 150 Nora next turn, I'm not sure if it's a good idea to engage and have all my champions in one area because they're just going to get AoE down, right? If they have basically no Nora next turn because they use all their Nora last turn, then I can play a bit more aggressively sometimes. Depending on, like I said already, depending on what faction, what spells and equipment and relics can I play around. There is a nice thread made by Dr. Mr. Bad Guy for that. Now, what does my opponent want? Hey, this is big too. What I was talking about when I said think your turns through is what does my opponent want to do, and what do I do to play around that? So if next turn I know he's going to use Magical Bomb, then I want to make sure I am not within range of a Magical Bomb. Oh, he's in range now. He could go down. If next turn there's something else the enemy wants to do, then, again, see if I can play around that. So every turn, check. All right, not only do you have to this is why it's kind of sad that we only have 2 minutes to think every turn through, or what, a minute and a half almost, because not only oh my god, too many things to say. Not only do you need to think what you need to do in what ordering and stuff, but also you need to think of what the enemy is going to do, right? For example, last game I had a game versus Daver where he used double spell, so he used Essence Drain plus Chain Lightning and an attack and got a kill right away. And I was like, wow, I guess I could have played around that if I had just lol, wrecked. I could have played around that. See, this is a mess up by Tiny Dragon, right? He could have checked for the blockade before he used that spell, before he used Bounty Hunter, but he didn't. So now he can't kill Thrillian, and that's a really big misplay, right? He used the spell basically for nothing. Now Thrillian is still alive, and boom, boom, boom. Anyway, so I could have played around that by just, retreating, but I didn't think he would use 2 spells to get the kill, but he did, right? So, yeah, think what your enemy's going to do next turn. So if my opponent is going to go to a certain square next turn, where do I go so that I can retaliate the best? right? So if I know he's retreating this way, then maybe I can actually move my champions down this way already, so I can retreat, or so I can, you know, help kill the avatar, right? Something like that. Oh, this avatar is close to dead. Does he have mobility? No. If he can use something to remove this chieftain, then he's dead, right? No, okay. Avalanche will kill the Thrillian, though. This is a bad... Yeah, Avalanche. You can't play around Avalanche now. Oh, is he gonna... Nature's Blessing? Alright, he won't die to Avalanche now. Just about. But he could have gone in on the... Oh, whatever. So, yeah. Yeah, so yeah, make sure you know where they're going and what you think they're gonna do. This kind of goes with, you know, think your turn through so that you can retaliate. Now, am I out of range of possible double taps? So if he has 10 AP next turn, then you want to be exactly 3 spaces away, right? Because then, all right, well 4 I guess. You want to be 3 spaces within it. So you want to be right here. I'm gonna put the grid up so you can see what I'm talking about. Right here, because if he has 10 next turn, so he has 10, 9, 8. And then if he's here, he has 7, so he can only attack once, right? So you want to be out of range of double taps. Now, it's easy to do that against melee. Usually it's kind of hard, though, against range champs because their threat range is much larger. Avalanche to kill the Thrillian, maybe. What's next? Yeah, positioning to be out of range of bombs, for example. Or if you have to be in range of 2 people getting hit by a bomb, right? Usually, often, you can't get out of range of at least 2 champions getting hit by a bomb. But can you do it so that the 2 champions that you're okay with getting hit are being hit? So are 2 of your tanks getting hit or 2 of your range champions getting hit by a bomb, that, for example, a magic bomb, right? Well, if it can be 2 of your tanks, then that's much better than 2 of your range champs that are way squishier, okay? Yeah, he's probably going to avalanche and then magic bomb here. Yeah, there it is. Or just avalanche. Avalanche did 10 plus 8 plus 8. Oh, the double 8. That's pretty crazy. Yeah, so that killed the Thrillian. I saw that coming. What are the cooldown of their abilities? For example, this was just used, so that's 3-turn cooldown. So you can now don't have to play around this anymore. So that's a bit harder, though, especially if you think about everything else, is to play around other abilities. That's often really hard to do. But, you know, 3-turn cooldown, you're okay. For the next 3 turns, don't have to play around it. I can bunch up my champions. So now if there were more champions down here, it's fine if they're bunched up because the magic bomb was used, right? And then, like I already said before, what is my win condition? Do I have a better late game? If so, should I retreat and give up my font so I can regroup for late game? And then otherwise, if I'm more aggressive, should I be the one pushing? Yeah, those are kind of my big things. I mean, I'm guessing I'll think of more later when I'm done with the video, but there comes Menelaus dealing 6 damage. Whoop whoop, awestruck, yo. Why is he awestruck? How is he? Oh, from the Sonic Roar, okay. Anyway, I don't know, I can't know exactly. I would love if more people told me what they thought needed to be known if you're playing, if you want to become really good, right? If you want to be that tiny level, if you want to be, you know, Moga Bait, if you want to be, you know, all the really, really good players is, I think, like I said, the biggest thing is just think your fight through first. Don't just rush in and attack everything because you're lazy and you just want to, you know, see things explode. Think it through. Think for a good, you know, minute. And then do everything. So be like, okay, I need to do this and this and this. All right, now I'll go in and attack. For example, this Menelaus is probably dead. Yeah, it is. Look, Triclops Chieftain can just move in and kill it now. Just double tap. So Menelaus dead. This is a very close game. But I don't think that his avatar will actually die here. And yeah, so we can see the Cyclops take this bottom font now. So Chieftain go... Oh yeah, this is another thing. Is don't... click long ranges like this because, you know, here we see it's going to go over the lava because the UI is kind of bad sometimes, or the AI. It's just going to go over this lava. Like, if you do this, it's going to go over the lava to get there. So it's better to, like, move here first and then move down so you don't move over that lava. There you go. Anyway, so there's a kill with the Cyclops Chieftain. Both of them are very low. Thing is, we don't have any more threats on the Outlock. He's at 19 health. He killed his... That's funny. That's funny. All right, GG. Well played.